What's up, Transformers fans? Mondo the Dead Bottomist Prime himself here with week 40 of Moonbase 84's year-long celebration celebrating 40 years of Grimlock and the Dinobots. And for this week, I thought it was time to talk about a character who literally carries the Dinobot name, that being Dinobot. And we're going to do that by checking out the Transformers Universe Dinobot, a figure historically very maligned by fans. I never personally had him, so as you can see, I picked one up. And I'm going to check this figure out and just see if it's as bad as everybody seems to think. And as you can see here, still in the packaging, as I said, I just picked him up. I picked him up brand new, or in box. And you got the old Transformers Universe logo, the Decepticon symbol, picture of Dinobot in the robot mode, Dinobot himself, 25 years of Transformers, picture of the figure, the actual toy, and the tech specs in a little bio. But I'm going to pop him open and we'll take a closer look at this Dinobot. So here he is out of the package in Raptor mode, and there are definitely some things that jumped out right away to me as soon as I took them out of the package. And we'll take a closer look. Number one, the color is off. Now mine could be a little bit faded for being in the package for such a long time and being an older figure. But Dinobot is more like, in his Raptor mode, is more like a darker brown, like a chocolate color, and this is more like a grayish brown. So that's one thing I've noticed. The big thing I noticed is that his Raptor head doesn't look like Dinobot. Like Dinobot's head in Raptor mode has a lot of character to it, and this comes off as just like a generic Raptor. So yeah, it would have been cool if this figure had like more of the stylized Dinobot head with all of the characteristics in his expressions and things that we've come to know and love. But this is more like plain Raptor, just a regular everyday Raptor. And also got to get him to stand here. There we go. And besides that, yes, you will see some stuff hanging off underneath. That is not a gripe per se to me, because it's very hard to get like a Raptor to be totally clean. They're very, long and thin. There's not a lot of bulk. So yeah, even the Kingdom one has some stuff going on there. So that's not a gripe. That's just something I'm pointing out. But yeah, it's very hard. I mean, it's almost impossible. Besides that, aesthetic wise, you do get some nice textures all throughout the body, and you get that nice light like orange striping. And then you get down, and of course because of that you see some robot parts, but that's okay. Inside the legs, some yellows and purples for the robot mode. I do like that the claws are painted, and he's got the big Raptor claw. His tail is stylized because it does not articulate. Very limited articulation. His jaw does open and close. His arms and the end of his tail are rubbery, so I worry about how that'll hold up over time. I'm not sure if mine being in plastic, in the box, has kept them, in good shape or not. But over time in the air, who knows? But they only swivel, but they don't bend. I mean, they're not supposed to bend. It's rubber. You get nice paint for his eye, painted teeth. Other articulation, his legs do articulate. They spread out and then bend at that knee. And he does have a hinge here that goes back, but not really forward. I think he would have benefited from a forward hinge. Of course, more robot stuff hanging off the back, which I said. That's okay. What I don't like really too much are the panels on the legs. They collapse to the side, but they're still floaty, and I would have liked it better if they could have clicked in. So, but it's not terrible, but I would have liked it better. So yeah, overall, a pretty decent Raptor mode, especially for the time. It's just not really Dinobot's Raptor mode. This is more like generic Raptor. So I'll go ahead and transform him up, and we will take a closer look at his robot mode. So here's Dinobot in robot mode, holding his very pitiful sword. That thing is just too small. And right off the bat, when you're talking about show accurate colors, character model for Dinobot, the colors are off. Of course, you've still got the grayish brown from the Raptor mode, but also you've got purples and yellows as opposed to like the blue and the goldish color. But we'll take a closer look. We'll get rid of the sword. I do like the head sculpt, if you can see it. It's a really nice Dinobot head sculpt, just the colors are different. And of course you get the carry over the Raptor mode, the nice textures and everything. Coming down to the legs is where you get that yellow and purple. You get some silver on the side of the hip. What I do like is how they gave him the bones that wrap around, because he did have those in the show. So that's pretty cool. And up here on the torso as well. And you may or may not have noticed that he has one traditional hand and one clawed hand, but that is a cool feature that they added. You can do either or. You could give him a traditional hand, or the traditional clawed hand that pointed to this, or a fist. But you do that. If I can get my fingers in here. Need some help from the too small sword. You just flip out the claw and spin it around. And there you go. Now he has both Dinobot traditional clawed hands, which I thought was a cool feature that you could do either or. And another feature he has is in his chest. Here's just the plain, dinosaur, but he can switch allegiances. So there you see the Predacon symbol, and then I believe if you keep switching, you get the Maximal symbol, very tiny. So that's pretty cool. If you're playing, you're a kid or a big kid like me and playing, you can have him switch sides in the middle of your playtime, which I thought was cool. Again, we have the too small sword, and then we have his tail weapon like he's always used, even in the show. Some nice textures in there, but pretty much unpainted except for that yellow. So here he is holding his tail / spinny shield thingy from that he does have in the show. And the problem with that, with this copy at least, even though he's new, is it's too heavy and his elbow can't hold it up. So yeah. Yeah, it's too floppy. That is annoying as hell. And then this piece flops because of the pressure in his legs. He's he's ball jointed, so it's understandable that he's loose, so floppy, but I didn't think he'd be that floppy coming fresh out of the package. And then you can take this and plug it in and do all that happy stuff, and it fires with this button, I believe. Boom. But yeah, this is very irksome. This tail weapon being too heavy for him to hold is very irksome. Articulation wise, he's not too bad. He does have a head swivel, can't look up or down or anything. And of course, because of the ball joints, you can do the T-pose, swivel the bicep, past 90 because of transformation, all the way up actually for the elbow. No wrist because of the gimmick. No waist, even though it looks like there could have been, but there's not. Full splits, kicks forward, kicks back. Not much of a knee bend because this back plate crashes into there. Does he have a thigh? I didn't check that. No, just swivels on the ball, so no thigh swivel. He does have ankle tilt forward and of course rocker. So a little limited, but not too bad. My main issue again is the floppiness already of these ball joints from a figure that just came out of the package. I mean, I'm not an expert. Maybe they do wear down in the package over time, but yeah, kind of irksome. So my final verdict on if the Transformers universe Dinobot is as bad as people say, well, I can say, and my main answer is, well, it's not good. He does have some problems, and it's not the coloring to me. I mean, yes, it would have been cool after all these years at the time to get a accurately colored Dinobot, but it's not the coloring. The main things for me is the Raptor mode looks too generic. They should have gave him that Dinobot look in the Raptor mode head. And just functionality. Like I said, I'm not sure if time even in the package did anything, but these ball joints are loose, they're floppy. In here is a little too floppy for my taste in his chest at times. The weapons, the sword weapon is way too small. It looks ridiculous. And because of the floppiness, and that's not even a ball joint, that's a hinge, the weapon, he can't even hold it up straight. So if that was the case at the time when it first came out, that is definitely a bad thing. And that would have really, I mean, I'm irritated now, but it would have super irritated me back in the day if this was, you know, not an aged in-box but still aged figure. I would like to know, did anybody get him when he first came out and had that problem, because that would drive me nuts. Overall, I want to say mediocre, but I think it falls under mediocre. I don't hate it as much as some people seem to. The robot mode looks pretty nice, and the Raptor mode does too. It's just not, it doesn't have the hits that make it stand out as Dinobot. But yeah, this figure has some problems. I actually like the variation on the color of him, the golds and the purples, or the yellows and the purples, I should say. But again, if this was back in the day when he first came out, all these years of waiting for a new Dinobot, and this is what you got, I would, color-wise and being so off, I'd be disappointed. I do like the faction changing gimmick. I think that's pretty cool. But overall, yeah, to me, the overall package, even though I do kind of like the robot mode, the overall package, when you take everything into consideration, is below mediocre. So I would have to say pretty bad. You know, it's kind of bad. It's just under mediocre to me, if that makes sense. Very happy we ended up getting the Kingdom Dinobot years later, because I absolutely love that figure. With that being said, comment to let me know what you think of this Transformers Universe Dinobot. And until next week's episode, thanks for docking.